I want to ask you, Prof. Anita, if you think that for you being a caretaker for your niece and nephew was a calling, or if it was something else that you had to in the moment figure out how to respond to.
Yeah, it's funny. I do not think it was a calling. I think it was codependence. Um, and you know, I'll tell you a little bit about me and my life. I grew up with a single parent. She was widowed at the age of 30, and my father died also around the age of 30 at 31. She had three kids, and for me, what happened is my sister had grown up. This is my little sister and I have an older brother too, but she had grown up with, depression her whole life. We knew it since she was little, and it wasn't until maybe she turned 30 that she started to show or exhibit, symptoms of schizophrenia and what other people call madness, right? Like literal madness, and, um, that she started to have delusions, and she, started having, like, this deep paranoia, and so all of this is like, again, as I've learned little by little, I've come to understand my sister's experience more, but back then, all I knew is that my sister was sick and something was happening that we didn't understand.
Yeah.
She had 2 small children, the ones that you saw, they were 3 and 4 years old, and the first time she got, hospitalized, she was arrested and brutalized by police merely for exhibiting, this anger and this madness. And so she was in the hospital right after she was in jail. I had to fight to get her out. And when she got out, she came directly to live with me. It was my maybe second year as an assistant professor in Las Vegas. So I had just started my career. And I had worked my whole life not to be a parent, especially not a teen mom or a single parent. And, those were things that were stigmatized with me growing up. And, now, of course, I honor single mothers and single parents just like my mother, but that's not what I wanted to be. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to, and the only reason I even went to college and wanted a career was to take care of my impoverished family because I had come to believe through my mother that having that education would allow me to help pull them out of their poverty. And
Hmm.
so little by little, those are the messages that I got. Like you have to take care of your family and you have to sacrifice your life to take care of the people in your family. And I accepted it with lots of love, but I don't think there was really choice involved, right? It was a limited choice. And it wasn't until later that I actually said, yeah, I did make a choice and I'm grateful that I had that opportunity. And it's one of the most um, powerful experiences I've ever had to be able to parent children who are now 20 and 21 years old. They're adults. And so I feel honored to have been their safety and the person who took care of them, but back then, I was mourning and grieving my my life, the life that I had, as a single queer person starting in, a job in Las Vegas as a women's studies professor. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, is to parent when I didn't plan on doing it, especially for children that young. I've always known that my siblings and even my mother would need my help, but somehow I thought it would come later in life, but it
Hmm.
started in my early 30s.
That it would start at a particular generation where there was an expectation that if they were older, that you would have to have some sort of role in helping them, progress in age and do so with dignity. And so I definitely understand the point that you're making. You did say about you felt like you sacrificed your life.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, Yosimar, you did say that, you reflected and you said that it was a calling to be able to help your grandmother. But did you think that there was a moment where you were sacrificing your life and doing things that or unable to do things that you had already put it in your head that you wanted to accomplish as an individual?
Yeah, I think similar to Anita, I think one of the things that happened within my life is we grew up poor. I think I used to say the term working class, but no, I think we need
Or
to name it poverty. And
mhm,
the thing
Mhm.
with growing up poor is that it's a silent violence because you're not aware. of what you need, you're not aware. And I think poverty adds a different level to these circumstances, in which I feel guilty. And here I am living in Los Angeles in a two-bedroom apartment in Boyle Heights, having my fun after college years, have roommates, throw
Mhm.
parties. I have my own room, I have my own washer and dryer, I have all this stability. And then I would travel back home where my grandma's still there sleeping on the living room couch. She's still recycling bottles and cans. My brother's sleeping on the floor. I have another cousin in the living room. And I just remember going to visit her and how much I hated the poverty in which she was living, but she loved it. This is all she known. This is the
Yeah.
life she known, and I just feel a certain guilt. How is it that I'm traveling the country, that I'm speaking at these prestigious universities, and my grandma is still living in the same apartment than since we arrived in this country? And so I think for me it was a tug of war between upward mobility and realizing like, if I think defining success for myself. What does success mean? Is it my career? Or does success mean getting my family or allowing my family to envision a life of stability? And so I think uh, it became that huge burden. And then, yeah, of course, there were moments where I didn't want this responsibility. I want to be myself. And then I think all the other layers that were undocumented. So it's like this added layer, poverty, undocumented, all this stuff. And then I think that was the big tug of war of realizing, like, damn, like I see other people excelling in their careers. I can't do that. I can't move to New York and focus on my writing and live this writer dream because I have these people depending on me. But I think I would fight it a lot. I would have these moments of tension in which I was like, why does it have to be me? Like, I don't want to do this. But then there was these beautiful, beautiful moments that I was like, maybe because I'm a poet, I was like, there's something sacred and something really beautiful and something that I don't think not a lot of people get to experience. And then when I had those moments, it just made sense.